God bless. I want to give an honor to God who is the head over my life. I'm reading from Samuel chapter 19, verses 1 through 11. The subject is Saul tries to kill David. Verse 1. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David, but Jonathan had taken a great liking to David. So Saul wanted David killed. But his son Jonathan, you know, he had great liking to David. So he didn't agree with what his father was trying to do. Verse 2, and warned him, my father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning into hiding and stay there. So Saul's son Jonathan is warning David to be on the lookout because his father wants to kill him in the morning. See, that's the difference. That's the only thing about jealousy. Jealousy, you will have envy. Jealousy, you will have people that's wanting to come after you. And see, this is what David was experiencing. He was experiencing Saul, who wanted to kill him. Saul wanted to kill David because of how successful he was, because the Lord was leading his steps and he needed to get David out of the way. And his son Jonathan, Saul's son Jonathan, didn't believe that this was right, that he was trying to kill David after David had killed 10,000s of people for them in the war. So he alerted David of what his father was plotting and told him to go into hiding and stay there. Verse 3, I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I found out. So Jonathan was telling David, I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are, and I will speak to him about you and will tell you what I found out. So Jonathan knew it was wrong what his father Saul was doing to David. So he wanted to intercede, to talk to his father, to see if he could come to some sort of agreement, because he felt Saul did so much. Why would you wrongfully do this to him? Verse 4, Jonathan spoke well to David, to Saul, his father, and said to him, let not the king do wrong to his servant. David, he has not wronged you, and what has he done has benefited you greatly. So Jonathan is telling his father Saul, in behalf of David, let not the king do wrong. So Saul is the king, and David is his servant. But see, even though he was a king, he was jealous of his servant because his servant was greater than him. And David, he has not wronged you. So Jonathan is telling him, he's telling Saul, David, has not wronged you. And what has he done has benefited you greatly. Okay? Because David has raised the army. David has killing has killed over 10,000 of people in the war. 5, he took his life in his hands when he killed the Philistines. The Lord won a great victory for all Israel, and you saw it. We're glad. Why the world you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason? And this is what jealousy, hate, and hatred will do, okay? So his son continues on and say in verse 5, he took his life in his hands when he killed the Philistines, okay? When David killed the Philistines, okay, his life was on the line, but he did it. It reads on, the Lord won a great victory for all Israel, and you saw it and were glad. Why would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason? See, what they don't understand is the Lord is with David all the time. And this is why David was so successful in every war that he completed. He was successful in everything that he did because the Lord was walking with him. Even though Saul wanted to kill David, his son intervened because he thought it was wrong. He was saying, why would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason? He had no cause, no reason to even want to kill David, but it was the jealousy, the evil that he plagued in his heart, that he wanted David dead because David was more successful. 6. Saul listened to Jonathan and took his oath, as surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death. So after his son intervened and talked on David's behalf, his father Saul began to change his mind and took an oath, as surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death. So he changed his mind and he didn't want to kill David again. 7. So Jonathan called David and told him the whole conversation he brought to him to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. So in verse 7, it's saying how Jonathan called David and told him the whole conversation, and he brought him to Saul. So they came to an agreement. Saul came to an agreement that he no longer wanted to kill David, okay? And David stood by Saul's side like before. Verse 8, once more we broke out, and David went out and fought the Philistines. He stuck them with force that they fled before him. So David did it again, okay? He was at war with the Philistines, and he won the war, okay? And then they fled before him, okay? That's just how strong David was, because see, the Lord was with him. 9, but an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul as he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hands while David was playing the lyre. So again, Saul, an evil spirit came from the Lord on Saul as he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hand while David was playing the lyre. So Saul was still had this jealousy and envy. He had evil in his heart towards David. He didn't know why he didn't like David. He just didn't like David, period, 10, Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear, but David excluded him as Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night, David made good escape. So Saul tried to pin David against the wall with his spear, but David excluded him, So, you know, David didn't let him do that. He reversed it. As Saul drove the spear into the wall that night, David made good escape. So David said, I got to go. I got to get out of here, because, Saul he's ready to kill him at this point because of jealousy and evil. 11, Saul sent men to David's house to watch it and to watch it all him in the morning, but Michael, David's wife, warned him, if you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. So at this point, this is the third attempt on David's life with Saul, okay? Because Saul wants him gone at this point, okay? And he will do anything for David to be gone, okay? He feels as if David is taking the shine off of him. He feels like David is more successful. He feels that he's in competition with David. So he has to get David off the map. So he sent people to David's house to watch his house in the morning. But Michael, David's wife, warned him. This is the second person that warned him about what Saul was doing because they didn't believe it was right. But see, it was so much evil and jealousy and hatred in Saul's heart for David because David was more greater than Saul. So Michael, David's wife warned him, if you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. Okay? So Saul wanted him gone, like today. He wanted him gone. So, how many of you know that the Lord will send people to warn you about the plots of the devil, the plots of the enemy, That's why I say sometimes it's good to be prayed up, okay? Because David was warned plenty of times, okay? And it was because the Lord wanted people to come to David to let him know what Saul was doing. So the subject is Saul tries to kill David. Samuel chapter 19, verses 1 through 11. I hope I added a blessing to the reading of the word. Have a blessed day.